Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation. Well, welcome. We have some new faces around the table, which is exciting, and we have some, as I told Mr. Unger, some new old faces around the table, old only in time on the board, sir. So welcome back. Before we get into the approval of the agenda, I would like to, Mr. Rako and Mr. Stevens, would you guys step up front for just a minute? Two letters of appreciation for each of you gentlemen for the time that you gentlemen have served on the board. We appreciate, let me read to you. With sincere appreciation for the community service as a member of the Board of Directors 2007 through 2010. This certificate represents a donation made by the Worcester County Veterans Memorial in Ocean Pines in an amount of $100. Thank you for your service. So, thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you to the Veterans Memorial very much.
I'm sure not donated right back.
Oh, Dave's Marty gave me his.
Oh, wait a minute. Well, Dave, yours is a little different. I apologize.
This is 1,000.
Yeah. Mr. Stevens, with sincere appreciation for the community service as a member of the Board of Directors,
Okay.
right, 07 to 2010, certificate, yeah, thank you, represents a gift certificate from the Ocean Pines Pro Shop. All right. Thank you, gentlemen.
One sleeve of golf balls.
Yeah, their prices went up.
Wait till I talk to the Veterans Memorial. Seeing as I'm the president of the board of the Veterans Memorial, this is something I did not know about.
It's good, that's the way it's supposed to be. You weren't supposed to know. All right, has everyone had a chance to take a look at the agenda?
Yes.
Questions, concerns, comments, or is it okay as? Yes, sir.
Mr. President, I have a request that at the end of the meeting, we close the meeting so I can brief the board on a personnel issue and on a contracting matter. And probably Mr. Moore ought to stay here for that.
Okay. Without objection, I'll have that. Okay. The only other thing that I saw on here that I'd like to add that wasn't on here is public comment. But I'm only going to add it once at the very end because of the nature of our meeting before we go into closed session. Okay? Everybody okay with that? Yep. Right, without objection. The agenda has been approved then. Thank you. We'll move into the swearing in of the new board members. And our council's here, Mr. Moore?
Yes. Mr. Terry, Mr. Unger, and yours is optional. Come up here.
Being inclusive.
It wears out. Yeah. There's that. If you each raise your right hand.
Baptism at Stevens, isn't it?
I state your
Baptism
name.
at Stevens.
Stevens.
Do hereby pledge
Do hereby pledge
to serve the people of Ocean Pines
to serve the people of Ocean Pines
to the best of my ability,
to the best of my ability,
and to adhere to the principles
and to adhere to the principles
as defined in the Ocean Pines corporate documents
as defined in the Ocean Pines corporate documents
which govern the association.
which govern the association.
Okay. You are hereby sworn.
Thank you, Mr. Moore.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you, gentlemen. Okay, the next step there, Mr. Moore, is explanation of OPA governing documents and duties.
Yes, and I'll try and be brief because with the exception of Tom, you all have heard this one at least once before, but the association, of course, is a Maryland Homeowners Association. It is not a municipal corporation, and therefore its authority to function comes from several different documents. The first of which is the Maryland Homeowners Association Act, which is a statute that was passed, which related primarily to obligations of developers in creating homeowners associations in large subdivisions. And it related specifically to matters which they had to disclose to purchasers in homeowners associations to be formed, so that they recognized the duties that they would have and the obligations when they purchased into a community that was a homeowners association. The matters which concern a board of directors, and you all who have been on the board, and Tom, you're very familiar with them also, relate to primarily the requirement of open meetings. There are only specific matters in which closed meetings in which matters can be discussed. Those are set forth in the statute and really have evolved by virtue of the legislature tweaking those closed sessions. It mirrors the Maryland Open Meetings Act for municipalities, but it's a bit different. The other matter which is confronted on a regular basis by the staff of the association is the obligation that the books and records of the association are open to all members. And there again, with only certain matters related to privacy of personnel and matters such as financial matters related to personnel, basically a member has an absolute right to view and copy at his own expense the records of the association. Several years ago, because Ocean Pines was turning over in its ownership, purchasing rather quickly, we actually held a meeting with the local realtors. And for years, as an agreement, the realtors have agreed that as part of the resale package, which is legally obligated to be provided by the seller, the vendor in the Homeowners Association Act, the association would provide information to a purchaser related primarily to whether or not there are any violations of the Declaration of Restrictions on the lot which the person is intending to purchase, and secondly, whether or not there are unpaid assessments. I've used the example that Ocean Pines in the earlier days, not probably so much now, but in the earlier days had numerous people who were investors from out of the state of Maryland, and it was therefore virtually impossible for any kind of legal consequence that was meaningful to be brought upon a person who dishonestly did not give the disclosures that he was required to under the Maryland Homeowners Association Act. So I would guess for 20 years, the association has been a participant in that turnover matter when the resale certificate is issued showing the obligations, if any, to the association. The next document series, which governs the association, of course, are the corporate documents. Phyllis has a full set of the corporate documents, and there are some, I think, 9 or 10 restatements and amendments to the original Articles of Incorporation. Probably the operable one is the Articles of Restatement that was done by Roger Titus, who was counsel for the association at that time. Judge Titus is now a United States District Court judge in Baltimore, but he did a rather comprehensive restatement of the Articles of Incorporation. The association is, of course, a non-stock, non-profit Maryland corporation. Instead of having stock ownership, the members of the association have a membership. And of course, that was evident on Saturday in the voting for the board of directors. So Phyllis has the complete set of corporate documents on file in the office. Declarations of restrictions, which are here, were also promulgated by Boise Cascade, and somewhat unusually, Each section in Ocean Pines has its own set of declaration of restrictions. When Tony Kantz was president of the association, numerous hours were spent with the goal of achieving what was called the Universal Declaration of Restrictions. It was all going to be compiled into one. That never came to fruition. Consequently, Phyllis has a huge file in her office with these various iterations of what would have been the Universal Declaration of Restrictions. But each section has its own, and basically they're divided into two classes. What I have called the Boise restrictions, which were sections 1 through 14D, and then the Balfour restrictions, which basically are the villages of Ocean Pines. And there are differences, because when the Balfour restrictions and the villages were being created, it was the same time when the association was considering the Universal Declaration of Restrictions. And one of the differences, which is a rather marked difference, is that in the villages of Ocean Pines, there is an appeal process from the determination of the action of the ARC. In the Boise restrictions, there are not. No such appeal exists, and the old Boise restrictions say that the decision of the ARC is final. There are some other differences. Primarily, the restrictive covenants in the villages intended to create a separate atmosphere, as you all know, in each of the villages, whether it's Colonial Village or Interlinks or The Point. It had its own ambiance, which they sought to create. But in each case, the determination with regard to the enforcement of the restrictive covenants, it depends on the declaration of restrictions for each section. I guess the kind of the flesh and blood of the association is the bylaws, and the bylaws were rather recently amended. As a matter of fact, Bill and Pete and I had a discussion on some language changes with respect to the board of directors, which was changed because of some language that had through the years created some confusion as to when the old board was no longer the board and the new board became the board. That, of course, was Al Bridgman's committee, the Bylaws Revision Committee. And the bylaws, you will probably, as a director, have more contact with the bylaws really than any other document other than the Declaration of Restrictions when you determine whether or not to enforce matters that are brought to you by the ARC. Which brings me to the guidelines of the Architectural Review Committee. The guidelines are intended to focus and formulate on property development and property use in Ocean Pines. And basically, I would say, I reported that we've had 17 cases that have been brought to us to file suit in the circuit court this year, and I would suppose, without literally counting that 15 of them are probably violations of guidelines and maintenance rather than violations of the Declaration of Restrictions. The circuit court years ago, Judge Bloxham, who is still a circuit court judge, made a specific determination that the guidelines promulgated by the Board of Directors of Ocean Pines are an enforceable document and can therefore be legally enforced in Worcester County. So the issue of whether or not there was some overreaching by the Board of Directors in promulgating additional matters other than the Declaration of Restrictions has gone away and has been judicially determined. The other two documents which you'll come into contact with from time to time are the so-called turnover agreements. The Boise Cascade Turnover Agreement in 1973 looks like this, and the Balfour Turnover Agreements in 1990, I think it was, are shorter but the same provisions. And what it was really a determination as to the transition from developer control in certain matters to the control of the association. And it is a contract between the Ocean Pines Association and the then property owners that were developing the properties at Ocean Pines. Basically, those are your governing documents. As I say, virtually all of them are in the association office. The depository, which includes several documents, as you can see, resides in the Circuit Court Clerk's office in Worcester County. And the documents which the association is entitled to act in its enforcement are in the depository. Thanks to Bill, some of the matters didn't get there until a few years ago, but they are all reposing in the Circuit Court. And I would caution you, if you try to find them, and I think Bill will find this, you have to be careful about who you ask, because most everybody down there doesn't know what they are, and they don't know where they are because they're not in the land records, like a deed or a mortgage. They are simply stashed in a filing cabinet in the clerk's office. Basically, those are your governing documents, and I think everybody, including Tom, really are very familiar with those. Yes, Les?
Don't forget to tell them there'll be an examination later this year for all homeowners.
If it is, that's going to be a first.
Are you writing the test?
Yeah. Okay.
All right, thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Any other questions? All right, the next order of business on the agenda would be the election of officers for this year. Before we go into that, last year, Mr. Rako allowed discussions of positions in such a way because, he discussed his feelings on a couple of the positions. Does anybody have anything they want to discuss before we go through this process? Everybody's quiet.
Just reiterating the rules that are contained at the bottom, I think, of the agenda, right?
Yes,
The process.
All right, I'll run through those real quick. This is an open meeting through this process. Nominations of candidates shall be made by board members. Discussions by board members are permitted. Board members may nominate themselves. Seconds on nominations are not required. Voting shall be by voice if not contested. If they are contested, we will do written ballots, and then Mr. Moore and Ms. Phillips will count those. They are something that they handle. Candidates for each office shall remain in the room, shall be permitted to vote. To be elected, a candidate must secure the majority of the vote from the board members. Votes shall be taken until the candidate is elected. Any questions about the process?
No.
No? Okay. With that being said, let's open, we'll go in order this year. President, Vice President, President, Vice President, Treasurer, and Secretary, as it's written on here. I'd like to open nominations for President. Yes, sir.
Are they open now?
Yes, sir.
I would like to nominate for President Tom Terry.
Any other nominations for President? Yes, sir.
I'd like to nominate John McLaughlin. Did you?
That's me.
Any other nominations for President? Okay. We have two, so that one will be by ballot. Please just write one name on the ballot so we're not confused.
I'm like on Saturday.
Thank you.
number one again.
No, Joe.
Right, almost did. Almost did.
I know, there's something new in there.
Sorry, dear.
I noticed.
Got real quiet.
It's almost like dinner time. People are eating.
Come on, bud.
Yeah.
What is it? Same thing last year. It was very good.
Right.
The boardroom
I've seen it a
somewhere.
couple of times, I watch it, yeah.
Mr. Terry has been elected president.
Congratulations.
With that being said, sir, you may continue.
Thank you. Well, thanks, everyone who voted for me, and thanks for those who did not as well. John was a good candidate as well. I could just as easily have seen John here, believe me. It would have been fine with me.
You'll feel more strongly in a couple of months.
Yeah, Terry, a few months from now, who knows? Okay, we'll move forward with the nominations for vice president.
I would like to nominate John McLaughlin for vice president.
Other nominations?
Is there a motion may be closed?
Motion may be closed.
I'll move.
Second?
Second.
Ray seconds. Okay.
All in favor? All in favor?
All in favor?
Yes.
Save some paper.
Save some paper on that. Okay.
Save the
That's where I thought it was good
Save the
by
tree, huh?
acclamation.
John?
Okay. Nominations for treasurer.
Nominate Pete.
Pete? Okay.
Second.
Doesn't require a second, but that's okay.
Oh,
We'll go
I appreciate
third
it
and
anyway.
fourth if you want. Other nominations.
It doesn't. Move to close.
Move to close.
Second?
By acclamation. Pete? There you go.
Thank you. Thank you.
And nomination for secretary.
I'd like to nominate the perennial secretary.
Mr. Perennial.
Mr. Perennial.
I think we all know who we're talking about, Vince.
I don't have
That
any
doesn't
idea.
require a second, but I'll second it.
Second, anyway, no, third and a fourth.
Mr.
Any other
Perennial.
nominations? Move to close
Close.
by acclamation.
Okay.
All right. Appointing the following positions. Assistant treasurer. It's usually the general manager.
That's correct.
Recording assistant secretary, executive secretary, Phyllis. Legal counsel, Joe Moore.
What's that guy from California?
Some guy, I don't know. Do you accept, by the way?
Well, certainly.
Okay. I'll just-
What we're gonna do is we'll go through all of them, then as a slate, we'll
Oh, that's
we'll
fine.
approve you.
Okay. Auditors, Trice, Gary, and Myers. Parliamentarian. Need a board member for that.
Yes.
Who is the president parliamentary?
Dave Stevens.
Dave Stevens? Yeah.
Dave?
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you, Dave.
And most important timekeeper, executive secretary.
Yeah.
Move for acceptance of that list of people.
Might as well move, I'll move for acceptance of the entire slate.
Second,
Second?
all in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Thank you.
I have one question. When's the contract up with Auditor? That's a contract.
It's a 3-year agreement, but we can interrupt it at any time. We're not bound by that, we understand that.
But it's good. I mean, it's not coming.
Yeah, we don't need to do it again, but it's automatic renewal, but we can interrupt that at any time with no penalties or anything, okay?
And for my, you're gonna see this a lot.
Are we in the third year of that?
I think you're in the 3rd year, yeah. I think we just completed it, or have just gone into the 3rd year. Yeah.
Okay, I'd like to move on to discussing meeting dates. I'd like to have a planning session for the organization, but Bob, I want to give you a chance to get in the office and get behind the chair for a while, unless I understand you're going to be going away for a few weeks, right? When are you back?
I will be back on the 9th of September.
On the 9th.
And I'll be leaving a little bit before then for a couple of weeks.
Okay.
And I'll be gone the third week of September.
Till the 3rd or on the 3rd?
The third week.
Last when do you actually leave? Friday or Thursday?
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
And Dave leaves Friday, right?
I leave tomorrow.
Tomorrow I go to
You leave
Friday,
tomorrow?
yeah?
You're gone for a couple of weeks,
Friday,
Dave?
And I'm gone for about 2 weeks. I'll be back after Labor Day. Probably fly in on Labor Day. So.
Okay.
And I'll be here through Labor Day for sure in that first week, so.
Tom,
Yes.
if I may,
Sure.
this was something that was created last year that was useful, and I've been talking with Mr. Rako about this. This was what we used for planning purposes last year. That may be helpful for everybody. With the, if you guys remember, I'm sure you've all seen part of this.
Yes.
Might be helpful with our, let's see this.
It's good.
Yep. Oh,
It's just to help, know what's coming up and when it's coming up, and then calendars are provided, so.
that works. Okay.
Tom, what are you thinking in terms of, with Bob coming on board here officially here, and probably within the week, and maybe even early next week?
I was
Early.
looking at the 8th or 9th as a planning day in September.
Well,
And then,
Les, is everybody else but Les going to be here at that time?
I'll be here on the
The
9th.
Okay, I'm a
But
month behind. That's September, right? That's in,
September.
yeah, okay.
so I was looking to the 9th to be a planning meeting, and then have Wednesday the 22nd be the first official session. And because I saw from last year, you moved from Tuesdays to Wednesdays, and you kind of flop between them.
We were
Usually
pretty
the second
consistent.
or third
Yeah,
Wednesday of the month.
And some of that depended upon, was there a holiday coming up, and then when you bump it
Right.
this way, or something else, and you bump it that way. So,
You
what you
two,
do, go ahead.
you two are new, but what we did last year is that, as a new president, Mrs. East and the general manager sat down, and we went over, we took this worksheet, and we planned everything out, and then we were ready to go. And that we did it on the 26th of August, but you all are gonna be gone, but we planned it out, and
Well, yeah.
And
And then-
then when the meeting happened, we all had it.
Oh, yeah.
That's what the worksheet's for.
Okay. Okay.
And,
Thank you. Yeah, I'm not going to walk into the planning meeting without having prepared for it, but.
Well, I think it was Bill, there are a couple people, in fact, I happened to be around
He
that
happened to
day.
be around, so we invited him in.
So they said, Pete, get in here. And so
Okay.
I came in and I was able to be amongst a group of 3 or 4 to kind of and then floated that to everybody else.
Right.
And everybody else had a chance to react to it. I mean, obviously, it's not a situation where we're going to nail down the dates that every one of the 7 people are there. But if somebody's aware of a particular holiday or function or something, you can say, oh my gosh, did you realize, for example, last year, the actual case, St. Patrick's Day became an issue. And so we had some discussion about the calendar based on when St. Patrick's Day was. So some people didn't even know when it was. It was ridiculous. But in any event, I'm half Irish, despite the name, I'm half Irish, all right? But I think that's the right way to do it, for you and Bob to get together, and if I can be helpful, fine. If not, that's fine too. But and then float it out.
Can we establish the 9th as a planning meeting, 9 o'clock here,
Sounds good
for
to me.
about 3 hours? Just to
Okay.
walk through goals and objectives, those kind of, so we can get that organized.
As long as we have
And then-
plenty of coffee.
And the planning is going to include the schedule.
Yeah,
I might suggest that if you get ideas earlier, that you put them out. And,
Sure.
So we can think about them. There are kind of issues that are floating around from last year's, and the year before, and the year before that. For that matter, about the times of meetings. And I think the new board ought to relook at, our experience and see whether or not, perhaps, one of the things that we did is we hopped around quite a bit. And I don't know that was more beneficial or not.
From the results, no.
Yeah, that's my feeling. I mean, I think the majority probably had that feeling. In other words, we didn't benefit from popping a Saturday meeting in or an evening meeting or whatever. I had to look at the bulletin board every time I was driving over to see when and where it was going to be.
Dave, are you suggesting there's something you said for consistency and sticking to it?
I'm just saying,
Yeah.
whatever Tom and you all come up with, just put it out in advance so we can get on with it quickly.
But I would agree with Dave, though. The flipping around didn't really seem to accomplish a whole lot. There were those who advocated that, and we thought we would try and do that. But
Yeah, the goal was to allow people that were working, that couldn't get off during the day,
Right.
to be able to attend a
Exactly.
meeting at
Exactly.
least once a quarter.
Right.
And that's why we had, we moved it one every
Yeah.
quarter was at 6. But
It was a
the
good
re-
goal.
Yeah,
but
the
it didn't
results
result in
were,
any
you're right.
additional attendance.
We did not have additional.
It depended.
Yeah.
It depended.
No, I mean, the
Some
records will
meetings-
show how many people were there, but anyway.
well, let's take a look at that, because that was my first thought, was what was the attendance of the residents and their ability to attend the meeting. I'm assuming that was part of why you were doing that.
That was the
Exactly
reason.
why.
That was the reason. That was the only reason.
If we're,
We were not trying to accommodate particular board members who have full-time jobs.
I would like to establish, though, each one of these meetings on the calendar throughout the year, and then we can decide whether we go morning, evening, or how we do that. Plus, there's work schedules to be sensitive to as well from the board members themselves. And your schedule, Bob, is ours now,
Well aware of that.
We own yours. We own your schedule at this point.
Mr. President,
Yes,
speaking of that, the hole is going to be where Bob is.
yes,
It's going to have to be dealt with.
yes.
We'll have to do that, I would say, or is it going to be done before the planning meeting? That'll have to be done pretty well.
Well, it was a part of the discussion here that didn't realize I was going to be in this chair, obviously, so I'm here, so let me just ask the question. Are we comfortable in discussing that empty position and going to nominations and to fill that seat at this meeting?
I'm not.
I'm not.
Okay,
Okay, we'll do it.
okay.
I think we need to explain how that works, though.
Yeah, I'd like to know what the procedures are myself, never having been through it.
One of the questions I have, are we filling for 1 year?
Yes.
1 year.
It's a 1-year fill, so, okay.
Fills in for the
Bylaws
remainder of
provide
the-
that until the next election, regardless of the term being filled. Am I right?
Yes, sir.
Well, are you going to ask the board members for nominations, and then are we going to discuss the nominations?
I'm looking for the bylaws to guide us at this point.
Let me,
No, I think we have to
Get to
decide
page
that.
10.
Yeah.
what it says is that in the event that a vacancy occurs on the Board of Directors 90 days or more before the annual meeting of the members, that shall be filled by a majority vote of the remaining directors within 30 days. So that literally hasn't happened yet because Bob hadn't resigned, to my knowledge. You haven't?
Correct.
Right.
That's correct.
So within 30 days, the board is obligated to, by a majority vote, fill the vacancy that will be caused by Bob's resignation. Each member so appointed shall serve as a director until the next annual meeting. And so what happened, now, and we don't need to go through it, if it's less than 90 days, then you got a different situation because you can fill it with the vote of the persons at the annual meeting. But
So where we
so
are is,
you will elect
once Bob
someone.
resigns,
30 days.
once he gives up his seat, then the 30-day clock starts. We will look for nominations from us to nominate people.
Right.
And then we will have, I would like to, and I'm assuming with the timeline, I would like to have nominations and notify everybody and do that vote on the 22nd if everybody's okay with that. Everybody okay with that?
I am.
You're gonna-
Yeah.
you-
So that everybody's informed in advance?
Yeah.
Wait now.
That's going to be close to the 30 days.
Yeah, the 22nd of September.
Yeah.
I
When
think
is
that
your-
day.
When is your
We'll
official?
start
Yeah.
Monday.
Oh, you start Monday.
Wait. Let me
Yes, sir.
read on. I didn't realize you were going to wait that long. The vacancy
I-
shall be filled not later than 30 days after the board's organizational meeting.
Right.
Each appointed director shall serve till the next
That's what
annual
I
meeting.
was talking about.
Well, I'm sorry, 30 days after what?
So
After the organization.
This is the
After
organization
today.
You
meeting?
should do it within 30
We don't have a
days.
vacancy yet.
Well, I understand, but hey, I didn't write them.
No,
Okay, but seriously, that's...
Actually, I think that Pete is correct. We
So
do
if
not
on
have a
day
vacancy at
29,
this
he
point.
resigned, then we'd have one...
We
day
will
to
not
fill
have a
it.
vacancy
That
until
doesn't
Bob
make
is
any sense.
resigned.
Wait, time out.
hold
You
it.
may not make,
In the event,
Pete may be right.
vacancy shall be filled Monday. I apologize.
Thank you.
That's a footnote in section 6, in section that I read.
That's
So-
for Balfour, right?
But-
Not for the...
No, that's the Balfour. No, I apologize. That's in the event after the ballot's been submitted to the secretary. I apologize.
I mean, literally, that could mean on the 29th day, he submits his, then we'd have one day to fill it. That doesn't,
But it does say.
when can we do it?
Is 30 within 30 days of the resignation
Exactly.
or the vacancy.
And your vacancy is going to take effect on Monday, right?
Correct.
Tom, we have, under Mr. Rako's leadership, shall I say, we've had a number of special meetings, and we could always have a special meeting for that sole purpose about,
Well, I'm looking
I'd
at,
rather do that than wait an extended period of time, because whoever that person is, I would think needs to be brought on stream and be part and parcel of whatever planning and that sort of thing. So I think it would be helpful, the earlier the better, and perhaps a special meeting might be a way to accomplish that.
Do you all have any votes in this interim period that we're talking about? Because that would be another consideration, but if it's not a tie vote
well, I have
consideration.
I have two concerns at this point. We have at least two board members going away on vacation, and this is a serious...
Three, counting me.
Three, counting you, so that's, this is a serious discussion that we have to have. As much as I want to do it as fast as we can, let's do it as judiciously as we can. I would like to be able to get the nominations in place and have discussions and maybe vote on the 9th at the planning session. That way we're not rushing into this thing. We've got plenty of time to talk to people.
More
We
time
would
for
need to
some
put
than
together,
others.
excuse me?
More time for some than others.
Yeah, more time, yes.
I mean, Les is in Germany and
Right.
And Pete's away on
on the
the
west,
9th,
and you're
You're not
away-
here on the
you're
9th?
away
so I
on
said
the
that earlier.
And you're not there on the 9th.
And my cell phone won't work over there.
But you'll be back by the...
Myself to work here.
You'll be back by the...
After Labor Day, the first
I'll be
week,
back
like
the
the
day
middle of that
before.
week, we leave it for like 10 days.
The other question is, will you be on the 9th?
Yeah, I'll be here. I'll be
You will not be.
here. It's-
Will you be in cell phone reach? If you so desire, we could call you.
Yeah, I would.
Yeah, but
We've done that.
that's a whole planning session though, besides just the vote.
Well, no,
right?
we probably wouldn't pull you in for the planning session as much as you would if you wanted to.
Dare not do that. Oh, okay.
I suggest that perhaps a special meeting, as nothing to start the year with, the week after the 9th, within the range. But you're still out. You're out for the rest of September, right?
Oh, no, it's about a 10-day period, 12-day period between like the 5th and the 17th. Something.
So if it fits in
So
the
when are you
agenda,
back?
time it for when you come back.
When are you back?
All right,
When are you
like the
back?
17th or
September?
Friday the
Yeah.
17th?
Let's do it
maybe that
Friday the
Monday.
17th.
Maybe that Monday.
The
18th, 20th is a Monday, is that it?
20th is a Monday.
For sure.
Is that
All
okay?
right, let's do that, because then the official first meeting of ours is the 22nd, and the new member can join us.
You know, that's over 30 days.
That's over 30 days.
It's over 30, well, yeah.
Back
we
to
got that
Dave's
30 days.
thought. Dave, you're okay with, why can't we have I thought I heard you suggest maybe that a special meeting just for that one purpose would get that out of the way, right?
Yeah, I think so.
That's what I'm thinking. And the only person not here in the next week is you.
Right.
And me.
You leave when?
I don't leave it Friday.
Okay. But you're back on Labor Day.
I'll be back there.
And he's not back until the 9th, I
Go with the
think,
date
right?
Good night.
that you got. It's a good date. Go with your date in September. Go with the date that you mentioned,
The 9th?
the
That's fine.
9th.
Let's do the 9th.
Could be going.
That's fine.
Well,
It's all right.
but I mean, no matter which way you look
I
at it.
didn't miss a meeting all year.
You can go going, well, perfect attendance badge.
I do have my perfect
There you
attendance
go.
badge.
All right, we're going to
Joe,
do that
can I,
vote on the
uh,
9th.
Let me ask
I did not miss
Council,
one.
is we'll be discussing
Northeast
alternate candidates for
New Brunswick,
the
Nova
director position.
Scotia.
Is that an open or closed meeting?
I'm sorry.
Open or closed meeting?
The voting for the director
Fill the seat.
should be an open meeting.
Yeah, that's right.
I have a question. Just a statement. I know what the answer is, but I've been asked by several people this question. I just want to emphasize that this vote to replace the board member has no relationship at all with the election that took place.
That's correct.
Right.
Okay.
There is no legal
It's
connection.
not who came in
there's
this
no
place, how many
requirements
votes of that, it's
for whether
totally
they were
independent.
nominated and ran, yeah, it has nothing to do with it.
Well, except insofar as
You can nominate people.
you can nominate somebody that's
Sure,
interested in-
I mean, they're.
And you can certainly
I think,
There's no
take
requirement.
into account, you know.
Sure you can.
I think Les is addressing perhaps the
it's not
thought
a
that some people said,
requirement.
whoever came in the
It's not a
next,
requirement.
you know.
Yeah,
so-
there-
It is not a pro forma
Right.
election. It is an election where you select a person for whatever reason that you believe should fill the position.
Right. Thank you, Les.
Okay, so we will meet on the 9th. Nominations for the replacement for Bob once he resigns, since he hasn't resigned yet.
Be at 9 o'clock, Tom?
Will be at 9 o'clock on the 9th. We will start that meeting with the nominations and election of the replacement for Bob. It gives people a chance to talk to people, think about it. Les, to your comment, you're absolutely correct. There is no direct connection between the past election and now, but that does not preclude us from nominating either one of the gentlemen who did not win that election.
I believe I am correct in saying that the vote for the director would be handled the same way that the vote for the officers are, and it would be by ballot,
Unless there's a single nominee, which is unlikely.
unless it's by acclamation. That's correct.
Just to make sure we're clear on the rules here, would that nomination require a second or not?
No.
No, okay.
No,
So it's the same
you
process.
can nominate 7 persons and start discussing and start voting.
Okay, all right, very good.
Tom, as I understand it, though, you and Bob are going to get together to more
Oh, yeah.
specifically
Oh,
look at
yeah.
the calendar and everything.
Bob and I are going to be joined at the hip here in the next, for at least the next year, I think, at this point. And let me just state publicly here, sitting here, I just want to state my public support of Bob, and thank you for taking on this challenge. I'm looking forward to working with you, and I'm sure we all are. And the sooner you quit your chair where you are, the more we can put you to work. So
I might delay a couple
you
of
might take a couple of weeks. Right? At that point. Okay. Any other questions, issues before we go to public comment? Okay, public comment. Yeah.
Don't want to disappoint you.
No, absolutely, Joe. I was ready to take notes.
John, you mentioned something about...
State your name and address.
Having a meeting, Joe Reynolds, 84 Watertown Road. Having a meeting and somebody, calling somebody and asking them what their vote is. I think it has to be more involvement than that. I think the law requires that the person on the phone be able to hear what everybody else is saying, and everybody in the room can hear what the
Yeah, no,
person's
understood,
saying.
yeah. We've done that in the past.
Right. I think the only context, Joe, was whether or not Pete would have to be at the organizational part of the meeting, which would not be necessary.
Joe, you were reading from the new bylaw?
I am.
Yes.
Brand new.
Just double check.
Well, 2008, yeah.
2 years.
I have had a habit of not doing that. I had the old ones for a while.
No, you had the new, I read along with you.
I do have the new ones.
The
that's
issue of
right.
meetings and attendance came up. Up until a relatively short period of time, 5, 6, 7 years ago, the board used to hold 2 meetings a month. They would hold what they called a workshop meeting in this room, typically on a Wednesday, and they would hold what they called a regular meeting over in the community hall, and typically on a Saturday. But those dates were fixed. For example, it would be the 2nd Saturday of the month, the 3rd Wednesday. Now, at that time, and these meetings were, the meetings in this room on Wednesday were not highly attended by the membership, but the Saturday meetings in the community hall, attendance, and at that time, There was half the population there is here now, living here, half the number of homes at any rate. But attendance was typically 100 or more at every board meeting on Saturday morning at 9 o'clock once a month. Now, what has changed to stop that, I don't know, you could debate that forever, but I think having a fixed date, like the county commissioners meet second Tuesday and the fourth Tuesday, or whatever it is, but that gets ingrained in the association members, so they know that there's a meeting at a fixed time. We're not changing. One day it's this day, the next day it's a Wednesday, or second week, third week, fourth week, or so on. So, I don't think you've set a full schedule yet, but I hope you give some consideration to fixing a date. I think it'll help it with attendance, assuming one can attendance. Mr. Rico. Mr. Rico and I were friends before he got on the board of directors, and we tend to agree with each other philosophically on most issues, but sometimes in details we disagreed a lot before he got on the board. And after he got on the board, we disagreed to some extent on items. But let me say, I've been living in Ocean Pines for 20 years. I've probably been to as many or more board meetings than anybody in this room, with the exception of possibly Tom Stouse and Phyllis East. And in my view, Mr. Rico has been the best board member that I've had as an association member, have seen in operation, and the best president. And congratulations, Bill, on becoming Citizen Rico. Well, not quite yet. And thank you for your service. Now, having said that, I've got a little bone to pick with you. You asked for a private session to discuss a contract. Now, I don't know what the Homeowner Association Act says from a purely legal standpoint about, well, we're going to have a closed meeting to discuss a contract. But as an association member, I believe that the board should say, we're going to have a closed meeting to discuss a contract related to such and such, so that the association members have a sense, at least, of what you guys are talking about behind the closed doors, not the details of the contract. This board some years ago, I think Bill Zawacki was president the first time, they decided that if giving the topic of the meeting was not detrimental in any way, that the board should announce it. Now, whether the topic of this meeting is detrimental, if association members knew the topic of the meeting, would it be a disaster for the contractual relationship? I don't know. A contract to buy a new car or something for the new general.
I don't need any more heat. No new car for me.
Thank you for your opinion on that, Joe.
You're welcome. But again, I think the board of directors, and I've used this word before, some people don't like it, you should embrace the idea of openness. For years, no one wanted to give out salaries in Ocean Pines. Then the legislature changed the law, we got the salaries out, and there was a collective yawn. I think people on boards such as this tend to think that what they're doing has got to be kept top secret, or people get upset. And in 99.9% of the cases, if you make the information open, you're better off, and it results in less controversy. Thank you very much.
Any other comment? Move to close and go into closed session?
Motion to close?
Second.